Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, the last and final Daf of our very dear Masechta, Maseches Avodah Zarah. So we're in Ayin Vavam and all 4 lines off the top. Ramilei Rav Amram. So Rav Amram asked a question, he presented an apparent contradiction to Rav Sheshes. So the starting point is our Mishnah, learned yesterday, Tanan, that items that were used directly on fire, so barbecuing, spit, a grill, etc., since they absorb the non-kosher material when they go use them in that manner, directly by the way of fire, as opposed to being cooked in a pot with water. So it was direct dry fire, so to speak. How do we extract that embedded, absorbed material? Likewise, using the same method. Direct fire, direct heat. A torch, right? So we learned in the Mishnah, Shvudin, the spits, va'askalo, or a grill, melabnon be'ur. You must do proper libun, by way of direct fire, to extract any embedded residue. But the thing is, we have a different Mishnah, which discusses a similar matter. This time, it's not about non-kosher use. It was equipment used to cook karbanos. You have the chatos, which is only meant to be eaten the day of and the following night. Shlomim is meant to be eaten the day of hakrava, the day that it's brought, the following night and the following day. So it's day, night, and day. But then it expires, so to speak. It becomes nicer, it becomes leftover, in which case it's forbidden to further, consume that material or any flavor from that carbon that is sitting somewhere in a pot, in the walls of a pot. That too becomes nicer. So the question is, what do we do? He cooks the meat of the carbon today, and a day's time or 2 days' time, you can't even use the pot anymore. The pot is now saturated with non-kosher, so to speak, material. Things which are nicer, which are expired, which may not be consumed. So what does the Mishnah say? We have to employ a similar system to our Mishnah with respect to non-kosher equipment. You have to kasher, you have to torch. But the Mishnah by Gabi Kachim, presents it a bit differently. There's no need to torch anything. Hashvud va'askal magilan b'chamin, a spit, a grill. All you need to do is hag Allah, dip it into boiling water, and that does the job. Why does that suffice? Why don't you need to use direct fire? Just like we need an our Mishnah when it comes to equipment taken from a guy. So Rav Sheshes responds to Rav Amram with an endearing, a term, Amram b'ni, my son Amram. Let me explain to you. Huge difference between the two. Ma'nyan kachem, how do you compare karbanis to non-kosher equipment? Hacha, over here by the karbanis. True. By now the embedded flavor is nicer, is expired. But initially, when it absorbed that flavor, it was fully kosher. Hacha hetera bala. It was baileya. It absorbed it when it was still permissible. So the initial absorption, the initial interaction was fine. Hasa misura bala. As opposed to Maseches Avodah Zarah, where it's non-kosher equipment, it was baileya. It absorbed it. It interacted initially with something which was asur. It's a totally different, requires a totally different cleansing process. Because, the kli itself becomes integrally identified with the isur. So it has to be remade, rehashed, burnt out, totally recreated, so to speak, in order to rid it of the deeply embedded, molecules of isur material, as opposed to where it was a carbon, which was perfectly fine at the time. And then it became asur because it's past expiry date. So even a lighter method of hagala, which takes out, for the most part, the embedded residue, that's okay. Even though perhaps there's something deep inside which sort of becomes integrated with the actual metal or the material of the kli, that we leave that alone, because that sort of becomes batal to the kli and we don't have to reckon with it. But if it was asr from day one, so everything in there, the kli itself became transformed to an entity of Isra, you have to go ahead and burn it out completely. So that would be the difference between both contexts. Amar Rava, so Rava responds to this. Who cares, at the point of integration, at the point of absorption, what it was? At the end of the day, right now, today, as we stand, the flavor, the tam, is asr. You have to get it out completely. Amar Rava, saif, ultimately, kika palit. Whatever it's spitting out, meaning the stuff you have to get out of there, is suraka palit, is isr material. Whether it was Isra from day 1 or from day 10, it doesn't matter. Right now it's us, we have to get it completely cleansed. Elam Rava says, Rava, you're right. In both cases, whether it's over here, by Avodah Zarah, or by the Goyim, or it's the Karbanis, you do need proper libon to burn it out completely. The point is that by Karbanis, there's an additional chiyuv. There's a pasuk, actually in Parshas Tzav, this week's Parsha, that you have to do an extra cleansing system. You have to wash it, rinse it again. So that's the additional requirement. It's not to substitute for libun. When the Mishnah by Kachim mentions hagala for the spit in the grill, that's the halacha of merika v'shtifa. You have to rinse it, you have to wash it with boiling water. So that's on top of the libun. So of course, libun is required over here and over there. Except that over there we need an additional step of boiling water. How do you connect the word hagala, which it typically describes being immersed in boiling water, to merika v'shtifa, which is with just a rinse with cold water? Only how do you compare merika v'shtifa? This term refers to a cool rinse, bitzainin, as opposed to hagala, that's b'cham, that's with boiling water. You can't compare the two things. Sure, it needs merika v'shtifa, but that's unrelated to hagala, which is mentioned in that Mishnah. Elam Rabbi says, let me tell you. Let me give you a solution to this apparent contradiction. There's no contradiction at all. In both circumstances, you need both steps to be taken. Libun, okay, burn it out with a torch, and hagala, plus the boiling water treatment to extract any remaining residue. And then by karbanis, we have an additional chiyuv of merika v'shtifa with cold water. So typically, a grill used over the fire requires 2 steps to kasher: libun and hagala. By karbanis, we need libun, hagala, and merika v'shtifa with cold. Elam Rabbi Yagadol Avriya. This is a pasuk in Eiv. Let his friend explain. Meaning to say, now we have 2 Mishnahs speaking about similar circumstances. So each Mishnah looks over to his sort of colleague, to the other Mishnah, to gain additional clarity. Meaning, Ta nahacha libun, over here in Avodah Zarah, libun is mentioned, but in reality, huadin hagala, hagala as well is required, as we see in the other Mishnah. So sort of the Mishnahs complement each other. Ta nahasam hagala. And by Kachim it mentions hagala, but in reality, libun is required as well, as per the Mishnah over here. So the Mishnahs sort of complement each other and fill in for each other. Both processes are required. Rava, so Rava responds to him, if that were the case, that both processes are required in both contexts, if that's the case, listeninu l'kula b'chad. The Mishnah should have presented it like this. In one Mishnah, we have both. It should mention both steps, libun and hagala. And in the other Mishnah, it would only mention one of the 2 steps. And we would say, okay, it really means both, as per this Mishnah. We will say, although in the second Mishnah only one step is mentioned, really you need both steps as per our Mishnah. Yagdal Vriyai, so the Mishnah complements the other Mishnah and clarifies it. If in fact that was the intent, it would present it like that. Two processes over here, and over there just one. No need to mention both because we know it from here already. But now that it didn't do it this way, we have one Mishnah by Avodah Zarah, which only mentions Libun, ignores Hagala. One Mishnah by Karbanis, which mentions Hagala without Libun. It sounds like they're not complementing each other. It's actually pretty precise and accurate. This is what you do over here, and not the other. And this is what you do there, and not this. Amarava says, Rabba, let me explain to you why. In fact, by Karbanis, there's no need to do Libun, exactly as per the Mishnah. Typically, something used over dry fire requires libun, but not by karbanis. There's no issue of embedded residue. You know why? Kachim hainu tamai. The reason why by karbanis there's no concern. K'der Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Ravu, as per Rav Nachman's statement. The Amar would explain to us, because since those pots are constantly in use, so basically the next carbon extracts the previous carbon's leftovers, and it sort of refreshes the kli. And then comes the next carbon and extracts the previous carbon's residue and embeds its own. So it's constantly being renewed and refreshed. You're constantly resetting the clock, so to speak. So there's never any residue in there that expires, that lasts, so to speak, past the expiry date. There's no issue of nicer in the pot, period. Damar explained, Kol yom v'yom, every day, due to the continuous use, nasa gil chavera. So every day's use extracts the previous day's leftover. So there's no concern about anything going past expiry. Well, tenach shlamim, that works by a carbon shlamim. To kivan the lishnei yamim misachli, since the carbon shlamim is eaten for 2 days, as we explained earlier, right? And you bring the carbon on Sunday. You have Sunday, Sunday night, and Monday. So then it works because by Monday you'll already use it for next carbon, and that expels Sunday's residue, and then you reset the clock. Mikami the nahaba nicer. So before the Sunday's carbon got a chance to become nicer, kahava gil, it's already been expelled. Alachatas. However, if it's a carbon chatas that's being brought on Sunday and cooked in this pot, given the liam b'layim misachla, since that has a shorter span, it only asks for today and tonight. So by the time Monday comes along, it's too late. Yesterday's carbon in this wall of the kli is already nicer. So now on Monday, I turn around and use the same pot for a new chatas, it's too late. Have a nicer. There's nicer in the walls. So now kihadim ravashal ba lemachar or shlomo chatas. So again, on the next day on Monday, when I turn around and use it for a shlomo or chatas, I'm stuck in hot water. Kika palit nicer the chatas the idna. So it turns out that the kli is now going to be expelling and spitting out leftovers, nicer, the chatas, the idna of today's chatas, of Sunday's chatas, into tomorrow's carbon, b'chatas v'shlam d'lamacha, into Monday's carbon chatas v'shlam, you're in trouble. Amri's answer was given like this: Leitzricha. You're right. They have to arrange it, have to stagger it in a way to avoid this issue. So basically, what they're going to ensure is that the last carbon that they cooked in the pot is a shlamim. So they can use it for chatas, sure, but then on that very day they have to, the last carbon, last use is meant for shlamim. And shlamim will outlast, because it lasts for 2.5 days. So that's the answer. First they cook a chatas on Sunday. And then they follow with a shlamim on that very same day, which will last until the next day. So now today, means now, today, they use it again for a shlamim. And the shlamim has a longer shelf life, so to speak. It's going to last all the way to the end of Monday. So then on Monday, they're safe to use it. The chatas, the lamachar. So Monday, when they use it for a chatas, that's okay. Ushlamim the esmal, with so tomorrow's chatas corresponds in its expiry date to yesterday's shlam, to Sunday's shlam. Shlam the esmal, the shlam of yesterday of Sunday, ba'adi adadi ka shlam zimnayu. Their time is shalom, sort of concludes at the same time, more or less. Basically, what the Gemara means to say is that on Monday, things are still okay, because Sunday's shlamim On Monday it's still kosher, so it's safe to use for Monday's chatas. But we don't end there. At the end of the day, we make sure to use the same pot for another shlam, which will sort of reset the clock and give us another 2 days to use it. And then we use it for another shlamim on Monday. So since there's constant reuse and continuous cooking in this pot in a way that ensures that no residue expires, it's always fresh and reset and kosher, so why burn the pot? Why torch the pot? And that explains why no libun is required by karbanis. Ask the Gemara, okay, so then it's kosher without any concerns. Why even boil it? Why does the Mishnah say you have to do hagala? You need nothing, kosher. That's an unresolved question. Rav Papa, he says, let me give you another, I want to resolve this apparent contradiction. Why is it that by non-Jewish equipment you have to do libun, by karbanis only hagala? He says, Hi karid, v'hai karid. The equipment used by a guy is karid. It's not used so continuously, right? So it congeals, it hardens, the residue hardens, and it's much more difficult to extract. You need a proper torching. High karid, but in Beis Hamikdash, since it's more or less being used constantly, right? So the stuff in the walls, is sort of loose, not so deeply embedded, and doesn't, congeal and get hard. So hagala is enough, even by torches and grills. Rav Ashi Amar, another teretz to this kasha. Let's go back to the initial suggestion. If it was used for non-kosher meat, it absorbed non-kosher meat. So the initial interaction was non-kosher. As opposed to karbanis, where the initial interaction was fine, but later on, the embedded residue expired and became non-kosher. Says Rav Ashi, that's a good answer to the question. Over here, by karbanis, it absorbed permissible material, and then later on expired and became Isser. As opposed to by the Gayish equipment, it was Bailaya Isser, the initial absorption related to non-kosher material. With the Kukashlach, regarding your question on that, Rabbi had a question. Remember, the Be'idna, the Kapalt, who cares? What was initially? Currently speaking, the embedded stuff that you have to expel, Isur Kapalt, is forbidden residue. So either way it's forbidden, and the same treatment plan should apply to both. The answer is no. There is still a difference between the two. Because be'idna duka palit, lo isay li surah be'inei. The fact is that when the kli that's pilot, the carbon pot here, right, the pot used for the karbanis, is expelling, spitting out its isser. That's only because it's usser now. It was never really usser to begin with. There was nothing tangible. There was nothing forbidden in a tangible form. I.e., because when you used it to cook the carbon was perfectly fine. So meaning to say, it became usser while it was sort of hidden in the walls of the kli. So it's not so severe. It's not so difficult. We can lower our standards. And even hagala, which pretty much extracts more or less whatever's in there, is enough. And even if there's perhaps some molecules deep inside the raw material, we disregard it because it sort of becomes part of the kli, as opposed to when it was used for non-kosher. It was non-kosher meat to begin with. The kli absorbed non-kosher material. Whatever went into the kli, to the deepest channels of the kli, now made the kli integrally usher, identifies with isser. You have to totally burn it out, remake it, reinvent the kli, so to speak. And that can only be done through torching. Okay, so let's just recap. We have the halacha of the shvu, the askala, item used directly on the fire. If it was used for non-kosher, libun is required. By karbanis, we only see hagala. The question was why. We have several explanations. The final one being that it's a big difference in terms of how it absorbed it initially. If it was classified as isser, it requires a more intense job of extraction, i.e. libun. Otherwise, hagala is required. We speak about libun, torching. At what point have you fulfilled libun? How far do you have to go? Amar Abmani, until the klipa, the surface, the top surface of the utensil has been burned through. Okay, what about hag'ala? How do you go about doing hag'ala in boiling water? Take a small pot, dunk it into a big pot with boiling water. What if you have a big pot to kasher? How do you get that kasher? You can't find the tank big enough to contain that. What do you do there? Tashma. Let me explain to you how to do it. There was a story that who did a big tank, big vat, that was in need of kashering. Rav Akavia, in the home of Rav Akavia, who was a great man, a talmud chacham. So what did he do to solve this issue? Gadan for the lisha. He took a lisha as a piece of dough, and he built up the wall of the tank, made like a lip around the top surface of the kli's wall. So he sort of extended. He built up the wall. Apuma, right, at the around the mouth of the kli. And he filled the big tank with hot water, and he boiled it, right? And now we have the inside of the kli totally kashered, as well as the lip on top, which is now being splattered by the bubbling water, which spills over, and it's going to stay there. It's going to do its job because it's now contained by the extra lip, the dough that's containing that spillover. So that ensures that every usable surface, the actual inside and the lip on top, was treated by this boiling water. And the outside is not required because you don't really use the outside for non-kosher. As long as the inside, the way it was used, that's how you, right? The way it was used, that's how you kasher it. It was used from the inside, that's enough for koshering as well. I'm very impressed. Who has the wisdom? Who's so smart to figure out this method, how to kasher a huge vat? If not for Rav Akavi, the guy Rabbi was a great man because he held that it works. Even though the top lip was not really immersed in hot water, as long as there's splattering of water from the inside, that's enough, because that's how it absorbed the Isser, through splattering from the inside, right? Because he held the same manner in which it absorbs the problematic material, that's how it expels it. Just like the top lip of the wall of the kli absorbs through splattering from the inside, likewise, it will extract it using the tzitzis, splattering from within. Rashi asks a kasha, why do you need that lip at all? Just fill it with hot water, and the water will automatically splatter on the top, surface of the wall. So he says because you don't know if you'll hit every spot, but just using it one time in this manner. You see, this kli has been used for a while with non-kosher material, so splattering sometimes hits this spot, sometimes that spot, sometimes the other spot, right? It's not consistent. It's random. It's a random thing, right? So now when you kasher it, you don't know if your splattering will reach those very points that are absorbed with Isser. The only way to ensure it does is build up the wall, create an extra, containment, and then just boil it up until it gets higher and higher and spills over. So now it reached every spot on that top lip. Beautiful solution. Okay, what about a knife? Now, we're talking about a knife that a guy used for cold, let's say, but since there's the pressure factor, it's used for cutting, it's called duchka de sakina, that pushes in the residue a bit deeper than just the surface. So to solve this issue, to use it for cold kosher, you have to actually scrape it, hasak and shafi, to scrape it either with a grinding stone, according to one shot in Rashi, just with a beget semer, a rough, wool material. Right, the wool is known to be more, rough and coarse. V'tayr and the knife now is considered okay for a use with tzainin, with cold. We're not done. There's another step to this process of kashering the knife. So you have to stab it 10 times in the ground. Has to be untilled, soil, stiff soil, and you go in and out 10 times. That completes the kashering. But provided the knife on its surface has no gumais. It's smooth. It has no crevices on the sides. Otherwise, the fat and residue is gets hidden inside. They will not come out through this scraping. You find the same in the brisa. Sakan yofa shema gumais, a smooth knife without holes. Noitza serpam bekarka. You stick it 10 times in the ground. Provided you can use it for cold. Where if you would try to use it for hot, Rashi says you have to go further than that. You have to do hagala as well. Dip it into boiling water to extract the residue that's stuck, deep inside, which will come out when you're going to use it for hot as well. Says the Mokihah, this 10 times in the ground is demonstrated with the following story. Kihada Mar Yehuda, there was an Amoira by the name of Mar Yehuda, and a fellow Ubati Bar Tuvi. Tesis says he was actually an Eved Kanani, who is partially considered like a Yid, right? He has the obligations like a woman. So they were sitting, Abu Yasfi, they were sitting Kamei in front of the Shvur Malka, a Persian king who was a guy, but apparently took a liking to the Yidden. And he was hosting them, and he served them none other than an esrog. Aisul Kamei esrog, they brought before them an esrog. So the king picked up the esrog, Pasak, he sliced a piece for himself, Achlan, he ate it. Then he sliced another piece, Pasak V'havli Lebati Bar Tuvi, gave Bati Bar Tuvi a piece, sliced with his non-kosher knife. But then before approaching Mar Yehuda with a slice, Hadar Dotza Asar Zimni Be'ara, he took the knife, stabbed it 10 times in the ground to kasher it, and he scraped it as well. And then he offered a slice to Rabbi Yehuda. Pasak, he sliced off a piece of the esrog, Havle Lemar Yehuda, gave it to Mar Yehuda. Amalei Bati Bar Tuvi. So Mar Yehuda's companion, Bati, was insulted. He tells the king, what about me? I'm any less religious than Mar Yehuda. Why are you giving me from your non-kosher knife? Va'ogaran, this man, meaning himself, La Bar Yisrael, he's not a Yid. Why did you not... Amarle, so the king responded, nah, I know that you're not the most righteous adhering Jew. Mar, the other person, Mar Yehuda, Kimli Begavei, I know I can vouch for his righteousness and for his adherence to kashrus. That's why I took care to serve him well. But you, Umar le Kimli Begavei, I'm not really exactly sure that you're that you're so strict with your kashrus standards. Igad Amri, there was another version of his response that he actually put him down. Amalei tells Bati Bar Tuvi, I know what you're all about. Itkar, he says, remember what you did last night, something inappropriate, my Abdus Ba'urto, he did at night, and that pretty much explains why you have no high regard for your religious commitments. Okay, in any case, we had the stira between over here and karbanos, and we resolved it using several tirutzim. Liban needs to be properly torched until the klipa gets burnt off. Hagala requires boiling water. We discussed how to kasher a large vat and how to cleanse a knife. Hadron lach hasoicher es apayel uslikala meseches Avodah Zarah. Oh, it's been a great pleasure learning together. A wonderful schus to go through such a wonderful mesechta Avodah Zarah with a lot of halachas that are really practical and agei l'maisa. B'ez Hashem, we got enlightened, and hopefully we'll be zeicha to learn many more mesechters together b'simcha with gesund parnasa nachas. Much b'suras tovos. Thank you so much for learning together, and mazel tov, mazel tov.
I know you know sis the zoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the no you know sis the zoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro I know you know sis the zoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the no you know sis the zoy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro No,